Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
What's going on, people?
And a very special guest, Mr. Antonio Pelayo. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes, it is. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. It's funny. I'll continue the conversation to eat up some of the podcast time. Now we're talking. Yeah, I've seen your name more than I've kind of wanted to. I was Gargamel had me working on something, and and I was doing a color separation for a shirt, and it actually had your name. Your name was at the part of it, and the way the name was on it wasn't centered correctly to the design. My thing is, when I deal with a client, I don't necessarily I don't want to tell them something doesn't look right to me or whatever. I correct it, and then I send them two versions and I say which one you like, you know what I'm saying, and we roll from that. And so before I had a chance to do it, Gargamel called me and he was like, hey, I kind of think and I was like, okay, cool. So we got it fixed, straightened out. But anyway, I'm glad you've been able to come into the Splendid Radio space, and your illustration is ridiculous, man.
Oh, appreciate that.
First and foremost, it's like, and it's interesting because, different people have different dedication to different things, you know what I'm saying? And then some people, they do things as hobby, but I know a illustrator, his name is, he goes by Ink Pulp, but his name is Sean, I can't think of his last name right now, but he illustrates for DC, Marvel, and then he does something else. And it was interesting to me because he reminded me, your artwork are two totally different types of artwork, but the dedication to, or the passion he has for his art and the passion you have for your art, I was looking at him and I was like, these aren't two dudes that just doodle like that. There's a lot of passion and there's a lot of hours and there's a lot of time, and your art reflects that. So I guess in a long way, I just wanted to prop you up on that and just say that, me just recently learning who you were and seeing your work and whatnot, it called to me in a way where it wasn't just some artwork that I saw. I was like, oh, this is special.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, you're right. There are thousands and thousands of hours behind that work. That's for sure.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you go, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Double that. Sorry. Oh man. No, did I email you the
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry, I didn't expect it to be so abrupt. Actually, no, I don't have the new ones, but you know what? Let's just do it. How were you introduced to hip hop?
Man, that's a good question. I grew up in Mexico and came back to LA in '89. So and at that time I was a Jehovah's Witness. So as a Jehovah's Witness, you're not really allowed to listen to that type of music because it usually has like explicit lyrics. But then I got thrown out of being a Jehovah's Witness like in 90, I think it was 90, 95, 96.
How does that work?
What's
that? You read my mind, Jeremy.
How does that work?
So being a Jehovah's Witness, you are living in this box and you can't step outside, meaning you can't sin. For example, you can't lie, you can't steal, kill, all those sins. You can't do none of that. You commit one of those, you get thrown out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I understand how sin works. How did you get kicked out or thrown out? That's like what physically happens, or
so when you commit a sin, you have to confess. If you don't confess and someone else knows that you committed that sin, then you get ratted out.
What?
Snitches. Yeah.
Snitches.
Well, the one that snitched on me was my mom.
Oh,
So see, well, the thing is that, she told me, she's like, I know what you did. You need to tell the elders. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to tell them. But she went ahead and told them before
ahead of time.
yeah, which was embarrassing. So, but anyway, so then they call you in and they meet with you with a committee, and they discuss what you did. And then their intention is to see how much remorse you are feeling. And depending on that, they'll like, come to a conclusion where, what, I think he feels bad about what he did. So let's just slap him around. Meaning, let's take some privileges away from him. Like you can't go out preaching door to door. You can't participate in any activity, and you got to do that for a while and then build yourself back up. If you don't seem like you feel bad about what you did, then they throw you out. And that happens by, they get up on stage during a meeting and they say, hey, so-and-so is being removed from the group. Everyone understands from that point on that they can't talk to you, and you can't associate with anyone that's a Jehovah's Witness until you're reinstated. Reinstatement happens where you're supposed to come to the meetings, but you come in late and you leave early. You can't talk to anyone, and you do that for like 6 months to a year. Then you write them a letter and you tell them, look, I feel bad about what happened. I want back. And then they meet with you, and then they evaluate, and they say, okay, you can come back. So I was thrown out, and I never came back. Because I fell in love with one of the things that I fell in love was hip hop.
I'm telling your mom on you, man. I'm telling your mom.
Dang.
Which is ironic because there's a lot of snitches in hip hop. So no.
Yeah, Jeremy's a comedian. If you don't know,
you don't have to be rebonded.
Dang. Yeah, man, that was powerful. You hip hop means a lot to you. I hope it means a lot to you right now. You definitely done a lot,
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge influence on my artwork. Not sure if you saw my drawings of Tupac and Biggie.
I did.
So yeah, hip hop has played a big role. During the 90s, all we did was, house parties, hip hop music. We go cruising down Whittier, Hollywood Boulevard, Santa Ana, and we listened to hip hop. And that's how we attracted the girls. Hip hop has been responsible for me getting a lot of numbers.
Quick question. This is kind of off the cuff, but it's about something that you mentioned a few minutes ago. Just for shits and giggles, one of the illustrations that I saw that you did a Tupac, and you can pick it. I don't know if you've done more of Tupac or whatnot, but it's something that I saw we'll just say on Instagram, because I saw one on Instagram and then I saw one on your website. I'm not sure if they were the same, but how many hours, let's say, went into an illustration of Tupac?
The one with Tupac and the bandana,
yeah,
that one took me about 75 hours. And that one has a great story behind it, because that's the drawing that got me. You can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been drawing since I was a kid. I got picked up by Disney when I was 19.
Wow.
I got exposed to art shows through the company, because the company holds art shows for employees. One of my coworkers invited me to an art show that he was in, and I'm like, what's that? Because I'm 19, I'm fresh from Mexico. I don't know shit about, the art world. So then I go to the art show, and that just blew me away. Seeing artwork from other artists on walls, and people can go there and buy the artwork or criticize it or admire it. That blew me away. So that inspired me to start creating artwork to put in these art shows. So then I started drawing, and I started practicing on realism, which is my style now. And I started building a portfolio. I would draw an eyeball and I would ask my coworkers for feedback. And then I, started getting pretty good. And then years later, I participated in a small show at a cafe in Alhambra. And then years later, I got the opportunity to showcase at the Disney Studios. And then I got a really good feedback off that, and then that just fueled me. And then I was drawing like all the time. And then years later, a friend of mine gets a studio in downtown LA in a building on the same floor as a bunch of other graffiti artists. And for about a year, my friend was like, dude, you got to come down here and meet these guys. They're like, the biggest graffiti artists in the scene. And I had no idea who they were. But one day he calls me, because I just put it off. I'm like, dude, I don't really want to go. But one day he calls me, he's like, hey, dude, Retina wants to buy your Tupac drawing. I'm like, who's Retina? And he's like, dude, he's like one of the biggest graffiti artists. And then I'm like, well, I don't really want to sell it. Tell him I want $10,000 for it. And it was a stupid price, obviously. So he's like, you know what? He wants you to bring down the original so you can see it. So I called up a friend of mine and I told him, hey, dude, go with me to this studio in downtown. And he, we rolled out. I brought my portfolio and I showed it to Retina, and he's looking at the drawings. He's like, dude, I obviously love your work, but I don't have 10 grand. But I would like to put you in one of my shows. He was curating art shows back in 2004. So I'm like, well, I'm not really ready. I only have like 8 pieces and they're not even framed. He's like, it's all good. Get them framed and we'll put you in a small room by yourself. I'm like, all right, cool. And so I got all excited, prepped all my stuff. And he had me in his show in January in 2005. So that was the very first official art show that I participated in. And I give credit to that Tupac drawing for launching my art career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever sell the drawing?
My friend that introduced me to Retina ended up buying it from me years later.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask what you sold it for. We'll keep that. We'll keep that anonymous. We'll keep that anonymous. I'll go ahead.
Real quick. So we have a chat room, whatever, like pretty much people chime in, depending on the guest, whatever. And we had a couple people that had questions, but I think one you kind of just answered the first question by this person named Fortune. They wanted to know what was the first drawing that made you realize that you had a calling in life for artistry. But I feel like it was the Tupac one, right?
Well, the Tupac one was the one that introduced me to the graffiti artist. And that's a drawing that pretty much started my art career. It just launched. But I would say, I have so many drawings, and I still have one when I was 7 years old. Growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, the only artwork that you're exposed in that world are paintings that they provide in their books. So I would just copy those when I was little. So I still have one of those drawings to this date. So I would say some of that artwork that I was exposed, being a Jehovah's Witness when I was a kid, and when I was during that time, I would sneak into Catholic churches, and this obviously my mom never knew this, but I would sneak into the churches just to go look at the paintings. So those paintings just filled up my imagination and inspired me to draw.
Some of your art reflects that too. That's crazy. I mean, that's dope, man. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Mexico. The small town it literally has like 100 homes, and everyone knows each other. It's like in the wilderness in Mexico, and it's a really tiny, small, like a farm. So yeah, some of my 2 latest series is a documentation of the life there and a documentation of my family's migration to the United States.
I hate to jump around, but this is something that I saw as I was doing some research on you that I thought was like, it was one of the most astonishing things that I put my eyes on that had to do with you. and your son.
Mhm.
And it's like, you know, my father has this saying, and people from Mississippi, and they say, man, you know, genes don't lie. You know what I'm saying? Or they just, you know, they go into all that or whatever. And it's like, it's, you would have to feel like an NBA basketball player with a son that has made it to the league, because your son, like, you're no joke, but your son is no.
Oh, my son is blowing up.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, he's done countless covers for West Side Gun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
West Side Gun is one of his biggest collectors. I think West Side has acquired probably like 40 paintings from Isaac.
Wow. What's your son's name?
Isaac Pelayo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
He blew up in 2020 during the lockdown.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's, hey man, that's why I say, man, Gargamel's the mayor, man. He you know, Gargamel knows like some of the, you know, like some of the most talented cats, and it's crazy because I consider myself to be the same way, like but different, because like people that I know, everybody's just on a certain level. Not saying that they're above or below or whatever, but like everyone's passionate about like what they're doing in their life, and everyone who's doing something, they don't diddle with it. They're accomplished at it. You know what I'm saying? But dude, so you being dad, older than the contemporary hip hop and whatnot, and like, dude, West Side Gun, those cats, Griselda, like that whole thing, they're new school, but they still kind of have some of the old school values. So it's not like you just having a total transition into some mumble rap or something. Those are the dudes that are still, that are out there. You can hear what they're saying when they're rapping and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did you feel as a dad? Did you know who Griselda was and all those guys before?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the day Isaac told me that Westside reached out to him through Instagram, because some hip hop Instagram page posted one of Isaac's paintings. I think it was the Biggie painting, and it had the third eye. Westside saw it, and he sent Isaac a DM. He's like, "Hey, I want you to do some work for me," and fucking shit just took off from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Incredible.
Yeah. What was I say? Before we move on, I wanted to ask, do you have any New Year's resolutions or anything? Are you not one of those people to get into that?
Well, we can, but I don't really do the New Year's resolution. I've tried it in the past, and I'm like, I try to maintain the same fire and passion every day, no matter what year, what is going on. I mean, as far as like, yeah, obviously I'm always like trying to take my career to the next level, but I don't look at it as in, you know what, this year I'm going to do this. It's always there. That makes any sense.
And I know you're not you know, and I know you got was it kicked out? I'm trying to use the proper terminology, but
that's
do you so did you celebrate birthdays? I always think that's interesting when it comes to, did you not before?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
I grew up. So my mom started studying with the Witnesses in 78. So from when I was born till 78, we did celebrate birthdays, Christmas, Halloween, everything. But once we became Jehovah's Witnesses, all the way till like I was kicked out, I didn't celebrate anything, nothing at all. And then years later, I started celebrating my birthday just because, you know, I'm like, you know, it's fun, but I don't really put a lot of effort into it. I am celebrating my 50th birthday in March. You guys are invited.
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
Yeah, I saw that. See, we all look. See, you know what I'm saying? Antonio and myself look like kids. We've been around the block a little bit, but you know what I'm saying? Not kids, but we look like we, you know, we've aged well.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's dope.
What the heck?
Yeah, when me and my son are actually, a lot of people, when they see my name and my son's name, they don't know, or they don't think that I'm his dad. When they see
No
our
way.
names together, they're like, yeah, even I come across people that say, "Hey, dude, there's a kid out there. Are you related to him?" Yeah, it's my son. Like, what the hell? But no one ever thinks that, I'm his dad. They always think we're brothers, especially when we're out hanging out down the street.
You guys ever make a piece together?
Oh yeah, yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does
several.
is there any style clashing, or it's just like natural? It just comes together.
It comes together. Yeah, we've done several collaborations where I do my thing on pencil, and then he'll do his realistic painting on the side. So it's like both worlds come together. Actually, there's a funny story about that. So I'm working on a pencil drawing, and Isaac comes over and he's drinking a cup of water, and he sets it on the desk and he spills it, and it goes all over my drawing. And he just like walked away because he knew I was very pissed off.
Oh, I wasn't sure if he did it on purpose.
No, it was an accident. It was an accident.
Like he's like, I just raised the price of your your drawing $10,000.
So I'm like in disbelief because my drawing is ruined. So I'm like, I'm like speechless. I'm like so angry, I'm speechless. But I'm like, I didn't say anything. I just like let it go. And then like a day passes by, and I'm looking at the drawing, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just cut off the damaged piece. And I did. I just ripped it off, and it just left like half of the drawing with my image on it. And then I thought, you know what? Let's glue this piece onto a piece of wood, and I'm gonna have Isaac do his painting on the wood.
What?
So that was our first collab piece, and it sold right away.
What?
So talk about a happy accident. Yeah.
So he was like, here, destroy more stuff for me so
Yeah,
we can make
yeah.
it.
So we did like 5 other pieces the same way. Like I would draw it on paper, and I would rip it, and then glue that on wood, and he would do his thing on wood. And it like people love that.
Wow. Wait, so how old was he when he destroyed your piece initially?
This was like 3 years ago.
This was just 3 years ago.
Yeah. 4 years ago, I think.
That's
so
wild.
real quick, it could be looked at as young Isaac destroyed his piece, or young Isaac boosted the value and mixed the peanut butter with his Pop's chocolate, and then they have this Reese's super thing going on. That's dope though.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Like, dang, it's like, man, dad and son can share hip hop, dad and son can share art, you know what I'm saying? And then, I'm sure you love your child however your child was, but then it's like, man, for your child to be as gifted as he is, that's just like it's like an NBA player and his child makes it to the league, man.
Yeah,
but
that's incredible.
Yeah, but when I looked at some of your son's work, I was like, oh man, he's no joke too. I was like, what's the, what in the contemporary world, you don't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have, like, I'd have to really do like a Google search to find a father and a son that, you know what I'm saying, that share the passion and the good, I won't say good, but I'll say the interesting thing about it is your styles are similar, but they're different. It doesn't look like he's not a version of you. And, like he does his thing and you do your thing, and that's dope.
Well, so this is a story about that. So he did get to a point where he was drawing like me when he turned around 17. But quickly he like you said, he realized that, you know what, I don't want to be like my dad, because they did confuse our work. These his drawings, and this is another crazy story. I got commissioned by a very prominent person to do a portrait of his family. And at that time, I was very busy. So I thought, you know what, Isaac draws like me, I'm just going to have him do it. And take the money. And that's what we did. So the person that commissioned me never found out that it was Isaac's piece. So I'm never going to say anything.
Oh man, it's nobody's been. That's that father.
Well, now we just told the whole
Well, no one
24
knows who
people
this
in the
person
chat.
is.
Nah, he not. No, that's the daddy and son moment that is PG-13 that you guys will take to your grave.
Yes, yes.
That you guys will take to your grave. And you're like, okay.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, he got to a point where he was drawing like me and they were confusing our work. Everyone thought that his work was mine.
Okay.
So he's like, he moved to Vegas with his girlfriend years ago when he was like 18, and he just taught himself how to paint. Took him about a year and a half, and he got really good. So yeah, now his paintings really set him apart for sure.
That's crazy. He probably like my dad has always been in the business, and so I kind of absorbed that from him. Just like it's kind of like a muscle memory of muscles you haven't developed. It's like you're around something forever, and it doesn't mean anything to you. And then once you get into it, you're like, oh, I got a cheat code for this. I got a cheat code for that. And so I'm sure your son, it's like he's like, oh, and then he's like, oh. So that's dope. So tell me this, what's your favorite genre of music?
I have to say hip hop. Well, I think it's there, because I listen to I think I equally listen to all of them: hip hop, house music, Spanish rock, from all the Latin music, mariachi. I grew up in Mexico. My entire family, not entire, but all my brothers, all my dad's brothers and all my mom's brothers, they all are mariachi musicians. They
Oh, wow.
play an instrument or they sing. So I grew up around that music, obviously, so I love it as well. But I think it's all equally, hip hop, house, Latin. But the music that I listen to most has to be hip hop. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I listened to about, well, you know what? It used to be like about 6 hours a house, and then I mix it up a little bit. But then I kind of had like a moment when I used to DJ years ago, and I started off just hip hop records, and then I was like, well, what did they sample that from? And then I got into rare grooves and digging and stuff like that, where I kind of reached that same level with house music where I'm like, rest in peace. One of my partner's father, it's his birthday today, and he passed away. But he taught me something about myself. So we were doing something together, and he, out of nowhere, he was just like, man, I hate disco. And then I was like, well, why? And I really didn't like it or dislike it or anything like that. He's like, man, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I was just like, man, maybe he just got something against disco. And so when I start liking house and getting familiar with disco, I'm like, damn, a lot of house music is just a disco loop, and it's going over and over and over again. And then when I started listening to more disco, when you listen to the extended mixes, that's exactly what it is. And if you don't have the tolerance for it, I can't see how somebody could just be like, man, this is too much. But I love disco, so I'm all into it. But yeah, I listen to house and disco equally. And then, I listen to hip hop. I love hip hop, and I always love hip hop. But before I got into the printing business, I knew this guy who used to do flyers for raves, and he had a spot in North Hollywood, and he would rent out like a 3-bedroom apartment or condo or something like that. And he would have different graphic designers in each room working on rave flyers. And this dude was making money. Like, he was making a lot of money. And then he would outsource the printing. So you go into this place and you see boxes of stuff, and he would be able to do artwork 24 hours. And so like all these rave promoters from across the country would hit him up, and his little art house produced this particular type of style for different rave flyers. And I just remember when I got my own printing business, I was like, you know what? If they're listening to house music and they're making all that money, when I get my business, I'm going to listen to house music too. I was like, man, I don't want nobody humming Lil Wayne. I don't want nobody doing nothing that they can remember the lyrics to like that. They need to be listening to house. And then I just never broke away from house, and then it kind of evolved into disco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I apologize for boring you with that story, but that was
Oh, you good.
Good.
that was my
We got another chat question. Fortune wanted to know, first of all, soon as she apologized if it's not, enjoys your drawing of Humphrey Bogart, said it's so detailed, and the hat and the cigarette, said you capture film noir with realism. Do you have any exhibitions for an East Coaster?
No. Isaac was just there in Miami for Art Basel. Yeah, literally like a month ago.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's pronounced Basel?
Basel, huh?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and him exhibited at Art Basel last year. And then this year, the gallery just took him. But me and him have a father and son show in April here in California.
Oh, man.
Cool.
That's what we got coming up.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'll pull up and slap hands with you, man, and tell everybody I know the artist.
Sure.
Yeah. What's your favorite hip hop movie?
Oh man. What's the one with Tupac?
I mean, yeah, you got a bunch of them.
Juice.
Juice. There you go.
Juice, okay.
Yeah,
Juice.
I love Juice. Yeah.
You know, the crazy thing about Juice, you know, I never could get into it that much when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? And I never really knew why. I knew everybody made a big deal, but a lot of people were polarized with Tupac, and then, you know, it being about some street stuff or whatever. And it's interesting because as I got older, I started to respect the movie for different things. For one, I got to like the way that Tupac embodied that character. You know, for me, it was kind of like, damn, a rapper really did this. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, Tupac, you know, he came from a school of the arts, and so he was he was like a Bo Jackson or a Deion Sanders. Like he was good at many things. You know what I'm saying? He was just like a talented cat, and so it wasn't like just any old rapper just did his first little acting thing and took to it. But Tupac really became that character, as well as I enjoyed the movie that Tupac did with Homeboy, and they were heroin addicts. I totally forget the thing.
That Gridlock?
Huh? Yeah, Gridlock. Oh man. It was like, if Tupac would still be with us, man, I think he would have surpassed the man. I don't want to say Will Smith, but I say he might have gave him a run for his money if his trajectory continued on that path.
Well, I believe it. I believe it. I think it's tragic that he, you know, passed away so young. All the art that didn't come out because he passed. It's just tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I think I just was watching Poetic Justice recently, and I was just thinking, like, man, his you know, yeah, he's definitely a dynamic individual. You know, his acting skills, his chops. You know what I mean? You know, he's a person that. What's the other one? And the basketball one, I can't think of what it's called right now. But
Above the rim.
Above the rim, yeah. Just, you know, he was very
passionate.
Yeah, and you know, definitely, you know, one's lifetime talents. Unfortunately, you know, definitely, it seemed like he was way above his age too. Like, you know, 25. There's no way. I don't know no 25-year-olds act like that.
No,
I forget the time period by number, but someone was telling me like the time that he was on death row wasn't even that long. He wasn't even, like, he did so much in that small amount of time. Like, he wasn't on death row that long, man. But he just, his work, and then when you hear the Snoops, and then you know, I worked with the Pharcyde, and one of their engineers, he did well, I dealt with two engineers that did Tupac stuff. One kind of near closer to the beginning and one closer to the end. Both of them worked for, I think, well, one of them worked for Death Row and one of them was just like an engineer cat, but they were like, you know, his work ethic was unmatched. Like, and when you hear two people and it's not like in front of a camera or a documentary or something like that, it's crazy because when I hear the stories of Daz and all that kind of stuff, they're like, okay, he had songs like they would get a studio and he'd have different rooms and he'd bounce from room to room to room. He'd be like, yo, y'all not coming quick enough. We need to, you know, we need to get it. And it's like, he wasn't, people didn't adore him to the level of just making him this superhero. He literally was that superhero. Like he was in there working in 4 studios, you know, sessions at a time, just, you know, getting work done. But at the same time, when you've been in prison, it's like, I believe that everybody has a moment in their life. I would say artists more than anybody else, whether it's writing artists, comedians, you know, you have a moment where your passion, like the rubber meets the road, and you're like, man, I've got to do as much as I can. Like, and it's not, and something I didn't add it as you were speaking earlier, when you're talking about the hours that went into your work and the 75 hours for the Tupac situation. When you're passionate about something, you don't count hours. Like that's not it. Like for me and my business partner, like I leave my office because I know I need to have a life for myself. Like I know that I need to come home. I know I need to eat, you know, I need to feed the dogs, you know, whatever. But when your passion is there, no one has to tell you. Like you have to force yourself to turn the light off because you know the light needs to be turned off.
Yeah.
But when you're passionate, it's not a job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to performing arts school. I took up art for art took up a big portion of my life. Pretty much like as my mother would say, that's your real talent. I went to art school from 7th grade all the way up to pretty much graduation. But then also like literally my, you know, me being able to draw and stuff is what got me into that art school. Obviously I took up different other stuff, also play keys, whatever, but the original thing that I did was art. And we had 2 teachers that were like feared, they called the Thompson twins. And they were like the agents in the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny to have like such an academic approach to like art. You know, when you think like art teachers and stuff, they tend to be like, you think of like very broad spectrum people, but these people were just like very curricular when it comes to art. And I remember there was a, you know, we bust our ass. We had this thing called boards, which is pretty much like it's like a proficiency test. Every 2 quarters, you would have to present whatever the requirements are. I think it was like 10 pieces and 2 of them have to be like, you know, like sculptures or something like that. And if you fail boards twice, you got kicked out of the entire school, like straight up, like you weren't allowed to fail twice. It don't matter how good your grades were in math, science, all the other stuff. You didn't do that, you got kicked out of school straight up. And the first time you're on probation. But I remember they had brought some outside people in and showing like different artworks, whatever, art pieces. And, you know, they were so serious with this. This one guy had a block of wood, right? And they drilled a hole in the block of wood, right? And inside, it was like, well, different blocks of wood and they had different holes in it. And inside one, it said, "Here it is." And then she was like, "This is a masterpiece." And I was like, she's like, "Jeremy, put your hand down." I'm like, what? I was like, if we turned that in for class, you would give us an F. It annoyed me. Well, first of all, I wanted to ask you, did you ever take classes or anything for art at all? Or is it all just self-taught?
It pretty much self-taught. Years later, I started taking life drawing classes that they provide at work for free.
Wow.
Just to take them. But yeah, me and Isaac are both self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And secondly, is there any styles? I'm not trying to start any beef, but is there any styles or anything any artistic thing that you just don't gel with? You're like, hey, I'm not even trying it. I ain't messing with that. It's just not my thing.
Well, a lot of the contemporary art, I don't like. Some of it I don't understand, just like, you said about that board. I mean, I dig it, but some of it I don't understand it. Yeah, I'm most moved by figurative artwork, the Italian Renaissance, all that type of work, the photorealism, what pencil or painting, that type of art moves me big time.
Like a Rembrandt,
yeah, Da Vinci, yeah.
I'd hate to be a smaller artist coming to you trying to impress you, man. I could tell you holding back, man. You could crush somebody's soul, man. Nah, but that's dope. So tell me this. So you leave Mexico, you come to the United States. You're in your senior year of high school. In your senior year of high school, what did you think your path was going to be when you graduated?
Honestly, I was sort of lost. Well, for one, I didn't graduate from high school. So what happened when we came back from Mexico, I was about to turn 17. So the high school put me in 11th grade. And then they told me, if you do good on your senior year, we'll let you come back and, get your diploma. During my senior year, I got sick. So I racked up a big hospital bill. So I had to go out and get a job to pay for that bill. So I was cutting fifth period every day. I didn't have bad grades, but because I was cutting fifth period, they didn't allow me to come back and get my high school diploma.
So, same here.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, you know what? I'll go to a community college to get that diploma. But that's when I got the job at Disney. And once I got the job at Disney, I'm like, you know what? Forget school. I don't need school. And, I don't say that to tell people, you should do that. Looking back, I should have gone back and gotten my diploma. Looking back, I think maybe I should have tried to go to school to at least, learn more about art intellectually, but I didn't do it. I got so busy that it just, time just flew. But yeah, right out of high school, I was mentoring under my dad's friend that was doing real estate. So I was thinking about doing real estate or becoming a cop. Obviously, art was on the front, art was the passion, and I was thinking about what college to go to. And at that time, I think I wanted to study like graphic design or video game programming, something like that. But like I said, I got the job at Disney right after high school, and that's what happened. So that's the path I took.
Well, I have a suggestion for you. With all these hours that you put into your illustration, you should draw yourself a diploma, man. You've earned it, man. You have put in the hours, man. You have put in more hours than any high school student as far as your passion is concerned.
That's for sure. That is for sure. I mean, there was when I started drawing this style, that's all I did. I would, even at work during my lunch hour, I would just draw. I would get home and draw until like midnight, wake up early, go to work. Weekends, I would draw all the time. I would draw sometimes 12, 14 hours a day, nonstop. That's all I wanted to do. And obviously party.
That part.
Yeah. But yeah.
So, how did you meet Gargamel?
So that's another interesting story. So I don't know if you guys know that he's Isaac's cousin.
What?
Wow.
So Isaac's mom's dad is Gargamel's dad's brother.
Okay.
he was killed when Isaac's mom was very little. Isaac's mom's mom never told Isaac's mom who her dad was. She just kept it a secret.
Wow.
She never wanted her to know. So her man passes away. I think she passed away like 6-7 years ago. After she passed away, a relative reached out to her on Facebook and told her, hey, we know who your dad was, and there's some relatives that I think you should meet. So they got connected, and they met. And this is another crazy story. So Gargamel has a famous muralist. His name is Ray Vargas. I've known Ray for years.
Dang.
Isaac calls me and he's like, hey, dude, so here's a story about my mom's dad and blah, blah, blah. So it turns out that, we have a famous DJ in the family, Gargamel. And I'm like, oh, no shit. And he's like, but trip out on this. He's cousins with Ray Vargas. And I'm like, what? That is crazy. So that's how I met Gargamel. And ever since I met him, he's been DJing at my events.
That's dope.
Yeah. So Isaac has, from the Pelayo side, he has me as an artist, and he has a bunch of musicians. And then from his mom's side, he has music and painting. So he's Isaac got like it was inevitable then that Isaac, was going to be an artist, pretty much. It's in his blood.
No, I'm actually looking at his stuff. I was looking at both of your guys' stuff, man. It is really impressive. You know what I mean? And I see that he had the series with the 3 eyes.
Yeah.
At the Vision series, that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
What's the biggest piece you've ever done?
That's a good question. Well, biggest as in large, or just big as in popularity or press?
I was thinking large, but now I want to know both. Not gonna lie.
Well, I think one of my best pieces has been Frida Kahlo's portrait.
Okay.
This piece has been published in newspapers, magazines. It's been on TV shows, and it's gotten me, I would say, maybe like 20 awards. It got me my very first award at a museum in Ontario, and Isaac was with me when that happened. He was like 6 years old, and he was there with me at the reception. And he saw me, he witnessed me getting my very first award. It was amongst 500 artists, and I got first place with that drawing.
500, wow.
Yeah, I think that was what it's been, one of my biggest pieces so far.
Wait, and what about size?
Size wise, I think it's been a number of collaborations that I've done with other artists. Like Richard Duardo, I did a collaboration with him. We did pieces that are like I don't know, 8 feet by 5 feet. Yeah, so that's probably the biggest piece I've worked on.
Wow.
Nah, man, that's shoot, man, that's dope. So I had 2 questions, but we've already kind of covered one. But I'm gonna go into to part of it, because I might, I'm just excited about everything that you said, but I'm not gonna leave it to what I think or leave it to my interpretation. But what would you say is the job that gave you the best life experience?
I would, like, as far as like my employer.
Yep, a job. There's and it doesn't have to be Disney. Like, and that's what the job. So basically, it was kind of like the question was, what job's giving you the best experience? And then I was going to ask you about Disney or whatever. Me looking at it from a person that just knows how large Disney is, I'm like, well, man, Disney would have to be the dopest thing that he's ever done or whatever. But that's just that's what I would think. But let's not talk dope. Let's say, what job have you had that you feel gave you the experience to, like, you know, to succeed. I'll just say succeed, not even as an artist.
Well, if we talk about that, I think the life that I lived in Mexico,
Okay.
I think that taught me pretty much everything, from hard work to being inspired. You know, I lived in a place where we had really nothing. We didn't have running water. We had to carry the water from other houses so we can have water at the house. Like we lived in a very poor situation, but we made the best out of it. You know, it basically that life out there taught me how to be a man. I grew up without my dad. He was here, and you know, we lived over there without him. So I was pretty much the man of the house, and I was, you know, just a kid. But I started making money when I was like 9 years old. I had to learn how to drive because I was the guy that was driving my mom and my sisters around.
Mhm.
I had to put 2 pillows under for me to like reach the steering wheel of the Volkswagen that we had. Yeah. So I would say that life in Mexico, those 10 years that I spent in Mexico is what prepped me for
Shaped your character.
yeah.
Where in
Yeah.
Mexico is it?
It's a small town called El Palmar. It's like 3 hours outside of Guadalajara. That's like the most famous city nearby.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Marvel or DC? And I know since you work with Disney, you kind of have to say one, but
I like them both. But yeah,
Mhm.
if I were to pick one, I would probably pick Marvel. I just love what they do.
yeah. I mean, how you going? You know, you work with your people. I just work with Disney too, so I'll say Marvel as well. No.
No, but growing up, I was a huge Superman fan. Like that was my guy, Superman, growing up. And I actually did a piece on him.
Okay.
Oh, I think it's right here. Let me pull it up.
Okay.
See if you guys can see it.
Yeah, that looks.
Oh yeah.
That looks comic book worthy. That looks.
You did that growing up, like, or that's something?
No, I just did this recently.
Okay. I was about to say, yeah.
So
that's pretty good though.
This is a series that I've done recently where I'm combining my specialty, which is pencil, with what I do at Disney. Which is Disney animation fine art.
Wow.
Combining both mediums here.
Yeah. So did the lawyers Disney approve of you using Disney's resources to make Warner Brothers properties? Is that okay?
I did get permission. So
no, for real? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They're probably going to acquire them soon. So yeah, that makes sense.
Man.
Several of the main dudes at Disney collect my work.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah. Several of the top guys, since Disney holds art shows for employees. So I had my art show there, and the big dog saw my work, and one of them picked up 3 of them at this last show that I did.
Wow.
Yeah, which was like crazy. I'm like, this guy that he's a guy that charges $200,000 to speak to other companies for an hour. And he's here collecting my work. So it was very humbling.
Man, I almost was going to ask you to be part of this conversation, but you're biased, so you're not going to be able to really get into it the way I'd love for you to. But my buddy Sean Ink Pulp, who does work for Disney as well as DC and some other illustrations that he does for the comic world, you know, I wanted to get a couple guys together that not necessarily that are employed by Disney like you are, but are fans of the Marvel and DC, and to hold the conversation on how they feel the merger of Disney and Marvel has affected the franchise. Like whether it's because I listen to like both sides. I wouldn't dress up as an Ewok or Chewbacca or nothing like that, but I love Star Wars, but I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, but I watch like all of it, and I watch them over and over and over again. And, you know, with Disney's merger, I feel like it was a great marriage because Marvel got Disney's resources. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like what Marvel took it to a level. And it's so funny because I remember when the merger was about to take place, I was listening to a lot of talk radio at the time.
Mhm.
And I remember listening to some educated people. And that's one of the things I loved about talk radio. You get to hear two people that are most talk radio, which is very different than podcasts, because podcasts, you just have anybody with influence or whatever. They'll talk their mind, speak their mind on something that they really don't know. Mm-hmm. But with talk radio, in this particular show I was listening to, you get two educated people, whether it's Republicans, Democrats, whether it's whatever, but they're people that can articulate how they feel, and you almost could enjoy what both of them were saying and whatnot. So I heard these guys and they were talking about Marvel and the merger with Disney. And I just remember this guy saying, it's not going to be good, man. It's not going to be good. He's like, man, we're watching the death of Marvel and blah, blah, blah. And it's so funny. I had forgotten about that until I watched Black Panther. And I was thinking about that. When they were having that conversation, I was at the train tracks by my office. I remember it clearly. I was waiting at the train tracks and I'm hearing this guy just diss the whole thing from the beginning. It's not going to be nothing. And then when I saw Black Panther, I was like, man, from what Disney has done by itself with the Pixar stuff, and I'm a Pixar fan, so like all of that stuff. And then from what we had seen from Marvel doing its thing, this Black Panther thing and is it CGI?
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was like the next level of being visually entertained by, it happened to be a comic book character and whatnot, but just looking at a movie in a different way, like just all the stuff. But I would love to have that. And you know what? I probably will invite you back to have the conversation. I don't think you're going to get fired or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But to get together and to talk the differences of Marvel and DC and how the different companies have merged and whatnot. Something interesting. I recently saw the movie with The Rock, Black Adam.
Oh yeah, we just saw it the other day.
And I'm gonna tell you the dopest part about the movie. So Superman was not supposed, he had left the DC franchise. He was a wrap. And The Rock straight put it down and was like, yo, we're gonna work this out and he's gonna be in it. And he was literally only in, and it was so dope because I watched the battle that The Rock had to go through to get this guy in the movie. And he was literally in there like maybe 15 seconds at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And that was dope to me.
Well, he's that didn't work out anyway.
What didn't work?
Because was it Black Adam? There's multiple reasons, but basically, obviously Warner Brothers got bought by Discovery and they're in this like flux phase where they're trying to decide what direction to go through, because basically the Justice League as we know it did not work. Now, Aquaman worked, Wonder Woman kind of worked, and that's it. They were all hoping for the Flash to kind of fix things and retcon things. Ben Affleck didn't want nothing to do with because he didn't like the reception of Batman versus Superman. Like he hated being hated. So that he just didn't like the fact that the fans didn't like it.
The movie was dope to me, man. Am I just that 1% that
I'm not gonna go too deep into it. I'm not going.
Black Adam was dope to me, man.
So Black Adam really is the nail in the coffin for Warner Brothers as we see it right now. The Rock, he had his plan. And you're right. He actually was driving the force, just because things were in flux. It's kind of like, when you Trump had less power when, we knew we had 2 months left until he's getting a new president, kind of. So it's just we don't have to listen to you. So that's when The Rock was taking, he had a good idea. It's just Black Adam did not make its money back. And it was a super high budgeted movie. And on top of that, it came out 2 weeks before Black Panther came out. So the movie had no hope.
But it's dope, dude. I've seen it 3 times already.
Yeah, well, see it 3 more times because you're never going to see it in theaters again. There's no Black Adam 2.
Oh man.
But yeah, it sucks. But yeah, man, you know, that's just it's legal mumbo jumbo.
Damn.
Illustration. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say to touch back on the Marvel merger with Disney. I know the story behind it, and I think if Michael Eisner was running the company while that merger happened, I think yes, I think it would have affected Marvel, but it happened under Bob Iger. Bob Iger's he's the effing man.
Yeah.
Hey.
And one of his intentions to acquire Marvel was, you know what? You are a brand. Yes, you're going to be part in this company, but we're not going to try to change you. We're not going to try to change the culture. And that's what they've done. And that's the smart thing to do, because Marvel already has its fans. And a lot of the fans were worried about, oh, you know what? They're going to change. Well, they didn't. They just got enhanced. So I think it was a really good move, just like Star Wars was a good move to be part in the company, because it makes it bigger and better.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
No, I'll say with Marvel, I think is you know, it's kind of like any type of relationship where people get rose-colored glasses when they look at the past. But Marvel, both the comic book franchise and the movie franchise, has had its duds too, you know. So not knocking it, just saying that Marvel at that point, it built momentum and it needed a Disney to carry it on. I had honestly would predict that had Disney not came in, or some bigger company with more resources come in, I think Marvel would have just did this, because that's something historically that they've done. Like the road has been like this, you know, and this is me being a deep avid comic book fan since 1996.
Yeah, and well, look, Disney pretty much saved Pixar too.
Yeah, yep, sure did. And that was a wrestling match as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny. I like that you gave Bob Iger his praises. Well, he's back in the company now. So I think that some of that was a little setup. What you think? That's kind of like when the ship was sinking, it's like, hey, here, you take the keys. And after you mess it up, it's like, told you what fit.
It's funny. We have conversations with my coworkers and we talk about that. We're like, yeah, I think that's probably what happened.
Yo, because now he gonna come back and look like the hero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
And to switch gears a little bit before I go into the next question, I'm gonna give Star Wars and what Disney has done with Star Wars its props too. The writing is incredible. Like I mean, the series, you get like 8 to I think around 8 dope movies in a series, because each one, and like with I'll say I want to say The Mandalorian,
so good,
and Obi-Wan. I give Obi-Wan. I know that I was watching one, man, I don't know what it was. Oh, Andor. I was watching Andor, and man, Forrest Whitaker killed his part. I was like, it was like watching Denzel do his thing. And you know, you never look at Forrest Whitaker, like you look at Forrest Whitaker as a great actor. Never take nothing away from him. Great actor. But what he did with in Andor, it was like, dang, he's like, it was, I don't know how he could have done like method acting for that, but he was that part. It was not, he wasn't the dude from Harlem. He wasn't, he wasn't Fast Times Ridgemont High Forrest Whitaker. He wasn't like all these other Forrest Whitakers, but he was straight like
Galaxy Far, Far Away Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Far, Far Away. And then I give the Mandalorian props, because man, they had it was either Mandalorian or Obi-Wan, where they had Bill Burr and he
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, sorry.
Yeah.
And he wasn't funny. He was acting. And I was like, dang, this dude. And for me, like I say, I love passion. I love to see passion. I love to see. I invest a lot of passion in what I do. So when I see other people, and it's nothing you could fake. Like you, for instance, Antonio, me looking at your work and then seeing your son's work, it's like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? These dudes are accomplished, man. This isn't.
Absolutely.
This isn't some just penciling or whatever, but no, to give Disney its props, they've done great things with Star Wars too, man. And from the writing to the CGI, and none of it is boring. Like literally, I watch all the episodes at least twice of the series that they released. Now, I will say, the thought of Andor before I watched it, I was just I watched it because I had COVID. I had COVID and I was like, man, I keep seeing advertisements for it. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just going to watch it. But I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a minute to watch it too. I literally just watched it last week. The whole thing. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, y'all named the I don't want to move on yet. Y'all named the good ones, which I'm glad. I'm glad y'all named the good ones. But I think it's technically a fallacy to say Disney has done the Star Wars franchise as well as they've done the Marvel franchise, because though they may have gotten a few of the series great, like I said, the ones you guys named, those good ones. They definitely messed up the main line, and that's definitely a Disney issue. Specifically with the Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not allowed to talk about your bosses or anything, but you know what she did. She knows what she did, and the main line is jacked, bro. Everybody know that it's jacked, man. Like that. The Force Awakens. We accepted that was cool, and then you had
I haven't seen that.
You haven't? Okay. Well, you technically have, because it's the same as the first movie.
Oh, okay.
they remixed some things, which is fine. That was cool. Then when they got to I can't think of the names right now.
I'll tell you one. I'll be honest. Because I gave him so many props. We gave props
good.
to Marvel.
Thank you.
The one with Childish Gambino.
Oh, you talking about Solo? Everybody hated that one. I wasn't too upset at it though.
I wasn't mad at it. Yeah. I wasn't mad at it, but it didn't have that. But you know what though? Honestly, we not gonna get Antonio in trouble. And these are the Jeremy Scipio and Greg Campbell Smooch. These are thoughts of us.
He said he never saw The Last Jedi, which was a terrible movie. So it's not, he can't get in trouble for it. He can't get in trouble for not seeing the worst movie ever made by Star Wars, which is, a great series. And the last one I'm not going to let you get away with, and I'm done with this, is the Obi-Wan series. It looked great.
Dope. No,
it's terrible.
Oh, it's dope. Nah,
if you've been following the series, Obi-Wan ain't lost but the one time. He made Obi-Wan like a punk, bro. That ain't Obi-Wan, bro. Get out of here, man.
Man, I've seen it like 4 times, man. The whole series 4 times, man.
And then they was moving the rocks and dudes in the Force. I ain't never seen them use the Force like that. I'm like, what type of this? Man. They was using the Magneto Force. But anyway, it looked great. I'll say that. It looked great. I'm done.
All right. So, Antonio, illustration versus painting.
Mm-hmm. What about it?
If you had to choose one.
Oh, well, I'm not a painter.
Okay.
So I would say illustration. I do paint animation cells.
Okay.
But it's not the same as like what Isaac does as a painter, as a canvas painter. It's totally different. That's actually very difficult. Like what Isaac has done, it's very difficult to become that good. Mm-hmm. But eventually I do plan on learning how to paint like him. I have painted figurative stuff in the past, but I just never put a lot of time into it. But I think in my mind, when I retire from my job, I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing, just painting. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna turn that into my passion, my hobby when I retire. But yeah, I would, as of right now, like my pencil is my passion. Illustration pencil is my passion.
Last question on your job. do they use, not to get into the secrets and the trades or whatever, but do you use the creative suite with your job at all, or you guys are so advanced beyond that that you use stuff that's different than that? And I won't ask what it is, but I'm just saying
What do you
the
mean?
Adobe
I
Creative
think you mean Adobe. You mean
Oh
Adobe.
no, like my department, we use no computer stuff. It's all hand done. Yeah. No, we do not touch on any computer stuff.
Mhm.
It's all,
What
see, the thing about my department, it's a very special place because we still do all the work by hand inking, hand painting.
dang.
Only division in the entire company, and it's probably the only studio in the entire world that still produces handmade animation cells.
Mhm.
Hey man, at least you don't have to worry about AI anytime. So as long as you
Oh,
keep
no,
doing what you're
not at
doing.
all. No, we make fine art, but
Okay.
the way we make them was the way animation, the actual films were made back since it started, since 1923.
Mhm.
So we keep that tradition alive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Real quick question on and I understand that different productions make different companies make different stuff, but since the merger of like Disney and Fox, do your department take care of like Fox properties too, or is that just it's separate?
Yeah.
It's like so it's all together
Yeah.
then.
No, what's interesting is that my building, I'm in the original ink and paint building. Our department has shrunk to a little corner of the building.
Mm.
And prior to COVID, my neighbors were all musical geniuses, where they were the ones working all the music for all the movies.
Mhm.
They got transferred to another place, and then now they moved in all nothing but Fox people. So my neighbors
Mm.
are all Fox people.
Wow. Wow. So was that more space or less space? I'm trying to, I know for you guys, obviously, because you got the corner, but I'm saying like, is that an expansion? That's just like, we just gonna
Oh,
fire some people and put people, cramp them up and.
I think they cramped them up.
Uh-huh.
And the people that were there before, they just got sent out to other buildings.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your top art influences?
I always say Frida Kahlo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera. These are the painters that I got familiar with, not too much, but somewhat in Mexico. And then once I came here, then I really got familiar with them. So I would say Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera were my biggest influences.
I see. And then obviously you said your best piece would end up being a Frida piece. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's
I put a lot of passion into that piece.
Mm.
when I first looked at that piece, it almost looked like a photograph to me. And
Well,
like that's how it stood. Like that was
that's
one
been
of
a
the
problem.
yeah, that was one of the ones that really stuck out to me. And I was just like, I was like, dang, he's at the so I'm gonna spin the record back a minute real quick. So when you first started doing your art shows,
Mhm.
you not being accomplished at the time, but you definitely having enough talent to be recognized to have an art show, how did you feel people like took you in? I understand that the guy who you said who was a dope artist, he thought you were dope, but like when you did your show, like how did other people like accept you as far as
Yeah, I think the majority of people that would see my work for the first time, they dug it. Yes, there were one here and there that would criticize it, that didn't like it. But that also helps when you get criticism, because not only it motivates you to do better, but if you did do some type of mistake, you're going to correct it. But I think for the most part, I had a lot of good feedback from the public. Yeah.
So we're gonna say, with the exception of Tupac, because we already know, you put so many, you should have known his whole family, been able to know his whole family on a first name basis with the hours you put into that illustration. But other than Tupac, who would you say your top music influences are?
Well, as far as hip hop,
In period, in general.
well, I'll stick to hip hop. I would say Dr. Dre, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube. I mean, the whole NWA crew. I mean, you know, I grew up during that era, and you know, when that documentary um on that whole crew came out, me and Isaac, I think we've seen it like 10 times each. So that whole story is just amazing to me.
And that's dope. And the dope part about all this is that, man, you really came from Mexico, one culture, then came into another culture. And the dope part is a lot of times people come from other cultures, other walks of life, and they'll see a story like the Straight Outta Compton or whatever, and they'll snub their nose at it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you, instead of snubbing your nose at it and being from a total different culture, you were able to see like the artistic progression, the whole nine, the passion that these guys had. And that's a dope observation that you made.
Well, you know what's crazy? I lived in Mexico and I grew up playing soccer. Then we come back to the States and I started playing basketball and listening to hip hop. I was pretty good at basketball.
Okay.
I'll show you some plaques I've gotten from
I was pretty good at basketball.
These are all plaques from championships that I've won at the Disney company.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, I see.
And these are from the city of Glendale and Burbank.
What? Okay.
But yeah, I put together I was picked up by a team at Disney playing basketball, and then I put together a team years later. But I think I've won like 15 championships during my 29 years that I've been there.
Wow. You said you picked up at Disney?
Yeah. Disney has a basketball league, and it's supposed to be different departments competing against each other. But my team was always like a little bit of security guards, a little bit of my department, and different other departments. So
yeah, I love it. I love to hear the bribes that went down for the different teams that tried to get you over here, get you over there, and your loyalty remained, I'm sure, to your core crew.
Mm-hmm. I can see right now, like, you're pretty good there. You want to play a game of 1-on-1? Play for your job. But no, that's tight, man. That's why when you first looked up, I thought she was gonna pull out like an old basketball. Like, man, this is I won this in a game, but you got them plaques, bro. That's serious.
Yeah. I when we came back here, I started playing basketball. I just fell in love with it. Actually, I have another crazy story. There's a court right by Disney Studios on Riverside Drive. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Burbank.
Yeah. I live 5 minutes from her.
Oh, really? You know,
Yeah,
you know that court on Riverside Drive in Beechwood?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I went there when I was like 16 and a half. The first day I went to go play there, Will Smith was there.
What?
So I got to play with him.
Did he get in one little fight and his mom got scared and said, "You moving with y'all?"
But yeah, I fell in love with the game, and that court right there, since it's kind of hidden and it's by the studios, a lot of celebrities go there. So I've played with a bunch of celebrities there throughout my year. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know it was like that because it's not old looking. I didn't know it was that legendary.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
celebrities.
That's pretty. They take care of it. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and you can tell it's hidden. It's like away from all the busyness. It's like in a hidden area.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal, or how would you like to be viewed in the long run?
As a visual artist, I think as an important artist, someone that was part of the art conversation, someone that inspired other people to take action with whatever career they were in. I think mainly if I was able to spark up some idea or spark up something that energized people to take action, I think that's what I would like to be remembered as.
Dope. So before I hit you with this next one, the manager in me is going to ask for a commission as this comes to fruition, or at least a consideration for a commission. But if you had a biopic movie, what would it be called?
I think just it would be called just Pelayo.
Hey, I like it. Yo, and
All right, that
would play
makes for a great sound bite, Jeremy. We're gonna have the editor chop this up so when it goes when it goes down, this is where it came to life.
And yeah, who would play you?
Oh man, I kind of like, you know, the guy that they use for Andor, Diego Luna.
Okay.
I kind of dig him.
He's talented, man.
Oh, very talented.
He's
very talented.
Yeah, he's really it. When I first started watching, and I'm not gonna make this about Andor, but when I first started watching that, the appearance of that kind of character in Star Wars, I was like, how's this gonna work? And he totally, I'm not gonna say wooed, but he became a lovable character in the whole in the franchise. It was kind of like, oh man,
yeah,
that's dope. So with that being said, man, I'm gonna hit you with the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So with everything we've seen with COVID, all that, we've been locked up. We've come out of being locked up. Things are what normal is today. How do you see social progression going in the next 2 years?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I think we have a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the past, well, I want to say since Trump took power, I think a lot of things, yeah, I think a lot of things got messed up. I think it created a lot of bad stuff in our society, and I think we have a lot of work to do.
People felt emboldened to speak the crazy thoughts that they had in their mind versus like I could coexist with you. I'm thinking tacos. I'm not mad at you for thinking pizza. Who cares if Jeremy's thinking burgers? To people just becoming emboldened to the point of like whatever they like, you don't think before you speak. Like, and then the crazy thing about the Trump presidency is that no one cared about the truth. It was just like whatever was said, and if it was said by a certain person, like people would go with it, and then you'd have different news outlets and whatnot that would like fact check it, and even with the facts up right there, people didn't even care. They did not care about the facts, and they just rolled with it. And it was, if it was a social experiment, man, they need to be fair to me and just give me a piece of whatever this was before summer. If I could live to see summer, just give me a piece of it, because it was like for me personally, and I'm not gonna rant, but I'll just say this and I'll leave it alone. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. What was up is down.
It felt like that.
Yeah.
What was up is down. What's down is up, and whatever. Well, no, man, Antonio, I really appreciate you, man, the conversation. This has definitely been a motivating conversation. It made me feel like I need to put some more hours in on what I'm working on. And man, many blessings to you and your son's career. And man, in the next couple of I'd love to you to reach out to your son. I'd love to interview him also.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's dope. Do you have any? What are your socials? Your social media?
Mine is Antonio Pelayo. I'm on everything: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Isaac the same. Isaac Pelayo. One thing that I was going to suggest is if you guys have Disney Plus, obviously you do.
I do.
Watch the new Mickey Mouse documentary. There's a clip. Well, there's a part of it that I'm actually in it doing inking and painting. You'll see what we do in my department if you want to. Yeah, so that, I think, out of everything that I've accomplished in my career, I think that being featured in that documentary amongst all these legends and Bob Iger, I think that's got to be on the top 3.
Wow.
Sure.
So real quick, so when I go into my Disney Plus, I see Pixar, I see is it just Disney or what little box that comes? So I just click the Disney box and then
click the Disney box and just click Mickey Mouse documentary. It'll pop up. It just came out literally like a month and a half ago, I think.
Okay.
It's the first ever documentary on Mickey Mouse.
Wow. That's crazy.
I was a part of it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Big deal.
Yeah, very big deal. Yep.
And what do you have coming up that we can look forward to? Anything you have right now you want to share?
So me and Gargamel are doing a house music event at the Mayan Theater February 19th.
Okay.
And then after that, Isaac and I have a father and son art show in Pacific Palisades, April 8th. So those are the 2 immediate things that we have coming up.
And what are you doing at the Mayan?
I'm the producer of the event.
Okay, the producer. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I was about to say, please don't tell me you're gonna hop on the turntables. I'm like, man, that's too much.
Well, like back in the 90s, when all the house parties were going on, I was a DJ, but I never got to a point where I got good. I had to sell my turntables because I had a bill that I had to pay. So, but yeah.
Okay. I was about to say, man, if it's basketball, if it's art, I'm like, man, what else is this doing? You've given us enough. You've given us enough.
I know. I think at times I think, you know what, you do too many things, but I get bored fast. I think that's the issue. I get bored fast, so I'm always doing things. I don't know if you guys know, but I do produce 3 big festivals a year.
Oh, what's the festivals?
And that happened because I became a fine artist. I started curating small art shows back in 2006, and then that grew into what I do now. I do festivals where like 5,000 people, where I feature it's music and art at the same all in the same night.
Man,
so that's one of the things that I've done, and in my way, I'm giving back to the community, and I'm giving other artists opportunity to showcase their artwork. I'm always featuring brand new visual artists in these things. So,
nah, that's dope. That's dope. Well, nah, man, I'm not gonna blow you up or abuse the privilege of having the bat number or anything like that. But I'm definitely gonna hit you to maybe collab on some stuff. Worthy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hit you with anything that's not worthy, but definitely some stuff that's worthy.
Okay, sounds good.
And you, Jeremy, what you got coming up? You about to hit the stage?
Always, but let's say
Memphis.
Let's Memphis. Let's just move on from Memphis because I'm gonna be Memphis this weekend, but I would like to focus more on the 17th. I'll be at Flappers, 18th the Comedy Store, and 19th. If I can get to it fast enough. 19th, I will be downtown. It's truly hilarious downtown LA. You can find more at Jeremy Comedy on Instagram. Thank you.
I was actually going to produce a comedy show with do you know who Momo Rodriguez is?
I'm familiar with Momo. We don't have a relationship, but I'm familiar.
Yeah, that's my boy. I was gonna produce a comedy show with him.
What happened?
They just never panned out because of some city permits. Back he lives in like the Belt area, so he wanted to do a community event, but it didn't pan out. But,
let's talk.
Yeah. I've always been, I told Momo, I'm like, dude, I want to produce a comedy show.
Yeah. I know what I know him from is from Ha Ha's like right down the street from my house. Really? I've never performed directly with him, but I see his name up there, But I'm down. Let's work. You know what I'm saying?
Well, dude, this has definitely been a pleasure, Antonio, man. I really appreciate the conversation, the motivation, the whole after this one, you make me feel like I want to go harder, man.
Let's go.
Cool.
So the wheels fall off.
Yes, sir. Well, this has been another episode of Splendid Radio on